make all the demons quiet. Yeah, we were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Oh, yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh, yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. Hey, it's too late to try to go contain it. A generation fueled by creation. We live lives on a small screen nation. We control the airwaves, no negotiation. I refuse to think we need saving. Something good will come from creation. And when we think that the world is too anxious, we'll adapt, evolve, survive and save it. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Oh, yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh, yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. Hey, oh, yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh, yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong.
So this trail is kind of like a road that people take to go hunting and stuff like that. And it's kind of an interesting road. It looks a lot rougher than it did last time. And basically I'm driving down this road today to show you this is Colmont Road. I think is what this is called. And then at the end of this, it splits left and right, and to the right there's some pretty cool ruts and stuff like that, so we're gonna go check it out. And it's a lot rougher than it was. This road is also like access to some hunting grounds, I believe, off to either side. But then where we're driving, they have signs that are posted that say, you know, no hunting and this sort of thing. So we're good, and I've never heard any gunshots, never had any issues. Although, to be honest, I don't know if it's hunting season or not. I think I mentioned in one of the other videos, one thing you need to be aware of is while these look like they're fairly improved roads, especially in Alabama, heck, even the paved roads get bumpy and everything at times because of how much it rains over here and how the soil moves. It just destroys asphalt. It's not as bad as snow and ice in northern states and things like that, but it really, it tears it up from underneath the road, whereas snow and ice might cause frost weathering from the top of the road.
New text message from +12403432518.
One thing to also remember, there's a lot of dust kicked up. People could be coming from anywhere. You don't want to go flying down these roads. That's for sure. Because ATVs, dirt bikes, anything could pop out of nowhere. There's no traffic lights. Everybody's just kind of on their honor. So, and I already had two people kind of fly out in front of me. this is busier than it's ever been. And I'm noticing some roads to the left and to the right that I've not noticed before. But what I was going to say before those trucks kind of came out of nowhere is that these roads can develop potholes just after a couple rains, and the roads can rut out and change pretty significantly sometimes also after just a few rainstorms. And the brush to either side is far more grown up than it was before. Of course, this is kind of getting into the warmer part of the year. When I came here before, it was kind of cooler and there wasn't near as much brush on the side that had grown out into the road. So anyways, all that to say that these trails, or any trail, will be different every time you go on it, and potholes that were there before might have been fixed and there might be new ones, etc., etc. So, you know, never go bombing down a road, especially not in a Cherokee Trailhawk. They ride like a skateboard on this kind of stuff. If you're not aired down, this is not a pre-runner setup at all. As you can see, I just came upon some potholes I wasn't expecting. Take my own advice. But anyhow, all the adulting aside, hopefully we'll see some cool stuff towards the end, and some ruts that I want to show you all. And just kind of another video to emphasize that not all of the off-roading in Alabama is all the way down in the Talladega National Forest. If you're kind of around the Birmingham area, this is in Helena. A close landmark would be the Publix in Helena at 35080 zip code. This is not very far from that at all. It's just simply knowing that these things are there as a place to get out and do something a little bit different. Get off of the road if it gets boring sometimes to drive on asphalt. Yeah, it's probably hunting season because I'm seeing some gates that are open now that were not open before, and I'm seeing more pickup trucks and things like that, and less kind of pure 4x4s like what I would typically be used to seeing. These little offshoots to the side, while the gates may be closed, if you need to park and use the bathroom or something like that, or let another vehicle pass, these little offshoots with the closed gates are a good place to do that on this road. And I hope this video turns out good. This is my first shot with the 4K setting on the dash cam. Typically I prefer 1080p 60 frames per second to 4K with lower frame rates. Just personal preference. I like the fluidity of the video better than I like the resolution. But we're giving it a shot. We'll see how it goes. According to my Jeep, it's 87 degrees outside. And for reference, this is Saturday, May 21st, 2022. So if you come and visit this road and this trail around that time, you might expect similar conditions, although a good rainstorm can change them overnight. Last time I went off of these roads,
you have 2 new text messages.
And really I'm interested to the roads to the left and to the right at the end of this trail. This is just kind of an ordinary dirt road. Although, if it's your first time going off-roading, or you've got an expensive vehicle and you don't want to tear it up, or you just need somewhere to cut on your four-wheel drive every now and then to keep the gears primed, you know, there's nothing wrong with just driving down a dirt road. A dirt road's a dirt road. And it's perfectly safe to cut on all your goodies and test them out if you're new to four-wheel drive. That's what I did. First thing I did when I got my Jeep. This is my first four-wheel drive vehicle I've had, although this is the third Jeep I've had. I never had a four-wheel drive vehicle. Never had a vehicle with a locker. And I'm not sure if the two-wheel drive Jeeps do something like a brake lock differential, but I can tell you that the traction control is amazing, even on the two-wheel drive, and got me through some pretty serious snowstorms a couple times with some of my Jeeps. Yeah, this looks totally different with all of this stuff growing up. It looks like a different trail. It's unrecognizable. All right, so if you go left, you can see there, that is County Road 270. On one of my other trails, where I showed you County Road 260, I believe if you go left here, it will run to that other trail. Although I've only gone that way once following somebody else who kind of knew where they were going. I don't typically go that way to that trail. I go on the, you know, kind of the asphalt direction to that trail, not the dirt direction of that trail, although I think the dirt one's probably a lot shorter. Blind hills like this, they make me nervous. I go really slow because you never know what's going to fly over the other end. So I'm basically in 4 high. I'm in the sand mud mode in my Cherokee Trailhawk, which is usually pretty darn good. I don't typically need to cut on low or anything. And actually the 4 low in the Compass Trailhawk is actually just my first gear. They're literally the same transmission, so it's interesting. I've never gone off to the left here, but it looks like there's a left turn. We're going to stick to our guns because I'm by myself, although I've given several people the coordinates of where I'm going to be, and they all have vehicles to come get me, and none of them are more than like 20 minutes away, so not ideal, but better than a stick in the eye, as they say. We're coming up on a rut here. I don't know if the video can see it. I don't think we need 4 low. I think what we need is a little bit of common sense and patience, and if I get crossed up here, VLD can get me out just fine. I almost teetered, but it's okay. People joke that these Trailhawks are 3-wheelers anyway, and I would tend to agree. That said, I cannot find a video that proves it, but MFC Off-Road, and I guess I'll plug them. I'm not getting paid to plug them, but they're cool guys because they seem to be one of the only companies that care deeply about the Cherokee KL Trailhawk, and I think that's cool. And they make a lot of stuff, and they keep expanding their products, so pretty amazing. Anyway, they make some, or they sell some Fox long travel shocks. I think you have to have a 2-inch lift or beyond on all 4 corners, not just a 2-inch level lift to use them. But they advertise that when you get the long travel shocks, and they mention that they are not compatible with the sway bar disconnects, which is understandable, and you probably would need them if you had the long travel shocks. I mean, more flex is more flex, and this thing doesn't flex much anyway. But they claim With the long travel shocks, the rear suspension can actually flex 11 inches of suspension travel, which they claim is comparable to a solid axle swap, which is amazing. And I actually have a 2-inch rough country level lift, and I kind of regret it because the I don't know about everybody else, but my camber in the front's a little bit positive and the camber in the rear is a little bit negative, which is kind of exactly what would happen if you shifted the weight off the front into the rear, which is exactly what the level lift does. And it definitely squats when you punch the gas more than it did before, so it's lost some of its anti-squat, I guess you could say, because of the change. But anyway, so it changed the camber. I'm gonna go get an alignment done and see if they can fix it. It's off by a degree or a little bit more, maybe a degree and a half, which I think is within the tolerances, but it's pushing it. And yeah, it would wear out your tires faster, but if your rear is negative and your front's positive and you rotate front to back, as long as you rotate, you're gonna wind up with even tread wear, although I'm sure it will still wear out faster because it's more pressure, because your tires aren't as flush with the surface. But anyway, sounds like I just threw a rock into my rock rails. There goes another one. That's what they're for. Yeah, so I should mention too, I've got these 5-inch Frog Fab rock rails. They were not cheap. They were a little bit cheaper because it was in Canadian dollars, although of course we're in the United States. They actually wind up acting a little bit like mud flaps for the front. For the rear, stuff kind of bounces off of them. If it makes it all the way around on the rotation, it could actually bounce off the back. So I might make some little tiny mud flap pieces and kind of put them in strategic locations, but not like full mud flaps. But anyway, it winds up blocking a lot of the spray that would hit the side of my car with rocks and mud and everything, at least from the front, which is mostly fine because this is a front wheel drive biased vehicle anyway. So that's cool. Yeah, this is really grown up out here. One thing that's good to do every now and then while you're driving is to check your stats, you know, where your tire pressure's at. Make sure they didn't go down too much, like more than 4 psi especially. You should probably worry. So my tire pressures have actually gone up because my tires are getting warmer because it's pretty hot outside. I'm 34 psi on all corners right now, although my cold pressure was set to 31, and this will definitely happen. So your ride might get bumpier as you go if you road closed. Which road closed? This road closed. Up ahead. I think it said that last time and it wasn't. So I didn't see it blocked off or anything. Yeah, see, it's not closed. It's open. I'm not sure what to make of that, but I went this way before. It was okay. Yeah, don't talk on the phone when you're trying to pay attention. I think the road did kind of terminate down here when I was down here before. And basically I'm just down here to show you some ruts that this thing can comfortably tackle, although you would never believe it. real sunny out today, and there's a lot of rocks. I don't know if I'm going to be getting out of the Jeep. I'm pretty sure there's snakes out here. Snakes like hot rocks, by the way, and there's a lot of it on this road. I'm probably going to run over a snake on my way. In Alabama, probably the most common snake to worry about is going to be the cottonmouth moccasin. There's a lot of them. I think we do get some rattlesnakes and things like that. Also, what I think a lot of it, I'm just going to keep going straight. I think a lot of it is the moccasin. That's what I worry about. And they're mean, very aggressive, and they are poisonous. So, but I don't think they're as deadly as a rattlesnake or something like that. But yeah, know the wildlife where you're going, what could happen, what could be there. I could run into deer for sure. There's tons of deer in Alabama. That's why they're out here hunting. There's probably a bajillion of them out here. When there's deer, there's things that will eat deer. So you can get mountain lions and bobcat kind of stuff out here, I think. Definitely coyotes, maybe wolves. Possums, armadillos, these types of things are in Alabama. Of course, possums and armadillos probably aren't going to do anything. Possums are pretty scary looking, and they'll hiss at you if you make them mad. I remember it being this far before. It's a little bit hypnotic. But as far as worrying about stray bullets and stuff like that, you probably should. You know, this is last time we could go up or down, and I went down. So this goes this way. There's a lot of people in Alabama with guns. Everyone has a gun, and a lot of them have really strong guns, like AR-15s and shotguns and 45s. These are not baby guns that people have. They have real guns, and they might shoot them where they're not supposed to. You never know. This is what skid plates are for right here. See all this stuff growing up in the middle? That's exactly what skid plates are for. Brush guards and all that. This has really grown out over here. I've never been over here this time of year. And here goes some ruts. I'm not worried about it. We're probably going to do this. Don't be a cowboy when you're by yourself. Take the safer line for sure. Just do it. Be a show off when you're not by yourself. When you got someone who can winch you or tow you or whatever. I don't need to prove anything. I know my Jeep can do that stuff. This is where I went to before, and then we turned around. So we're going to do that. We're going to check out these ruts up here off to the left. This is where the road ends, and maybe that's what they meant by road closed, because it wasn't blocked and they said closed. It does terminate, and then it gets kind of treacherous over here to the side. I'm probably going to have to do some video splicing to show some stuff. These ruts over here. splicing some phone video. Alright, just to show you guys kind of what the Cherokee is capable of. These are probably like 12 inches deep. You may not be able to see that from the video, but they are. We're going to drive over here towards these ruts and stuff, I guess. I was able to do these last time, and we're probably going to get on 2 wheels. Am I not there yet? Can't see where they are. Slipped a little bit. Anyways, yeah, there's the deep ruts. I'm in them, and I'm teetering just a little bit. I might have some better video from my reversed camera that I'll splice in. Please work, backup camera. Alright. Not even in low. See if anyone's coming. We're good. Anyway, there's kind of a dodgier trail down that way. If I were with somebody, I would go further, but I don't like going where I've never been before if I'm not with somebody, because I don't know what the trail's going to do. And there's a sharp rock right there. So I remember last time it was steeper than I thought it was on the way down. Just remember, if you're pushing on your brakes going down, then it's pretty steep. And always think about whether you can go back up if you're using your brakes. You might be using low on the way back. We're actually going to try it without low. We're going to see how good the BLDs are. We're going to hit these ruts actually. Going this direction, I'm probably better than going the other way. Well, maybe not because we're going downhill, but we're just straddling the rut. Anyways, interesting trails you can go down. Basically a dirt road with some ruts, but it's not nothing. And if you just want to do some simple stuff, some easy trails or stuff with a few ruts here and there, you don't have to go to Talladega National Forrest. There's little hunting roads like this that you can mess around on if you just want to test your modes on your four-wheel drive and that sort of thing. And get a feel for it before you go do something crazy like Stony Lonesome, which is also in Alabama. There's some really crazy stuff. If you look on YouTube, Stony Lonesome Switchback. Definitely some crazy stuff over there. Tire pressures look good. Coolant temp 197 degrees. Transmission temp 181, which is pretty darn good for being on a trail in four-wheel drive. I'm happy. It's worth checking all those things. People say you can take a Honda Accord out here. That's where it ends right there. As soon as you hit these bumps like that, it's over. Your Honda is stuck. Yeah, it hadn't rained in a while. You can see there used to be mud right here. There's no mud anymore. It's just solid up, solidified. So if you have a Cherokee Trailhawk, I haven't really lost traction at all yet. I haven't slipped one bit. You'll be fine. I think even without a lift on this trail, you'd be fine. Just go slow by the ruts. Before I had my lift, I was still fine in those ruts. I just had to go slow. When you get a little bit of bounce, you're gonna ring those skid plates. I guess just to complete the trail guide, I'm going to go all the way down the other side to the left too until it hits the road. So that you guys can see what that's about. I think off to the sides, when you turn left here, there's some neat obstacles that you can try. I'm going to try to find one Actually, I think I just passed it. Then I went on with my friend. I think I just passed it.
You have 3 new text messages.
That's where it was. I think it just looked like the other one. We'll go check it out. A little bit of a pull, but no slip. Tell there's some force on my tires a little bit there. Man, something like a Raptor would just eat this trail for breakfast. They'd be able to go like 30 miles an hour down this trail probably. I'm not saying you should do that, but I think the suspension, you could take it. If you were Ken Brock or somebody like that and could keep it on the road, I think the Raptor could do it, because it's, you know, it's for bombing down roads like this. You know, I mean, I'm 7 miles an hour right now, regardless of what this GPS thing says in the video. I'm not sure why this thing doesn't work right. My other dash cam never failed on the GPS info. So we'll slow down a little bit and see if you can see these ruts. And just because the video can never seem to capture them correctly on the dash cam, I'm going to shoot this with my phone too. Put on my hazards, you never know who's coming. Just going to do a photo. Alright. Got a photo. This is where a lift helps you really, right here, is that you don't have to be quite as careful with this stuff. If you know you've got good angles and you know you can handle basic ruts, you know, after your lift, you don't, you know, 2-inch lift on the Trailhawk with a little bit bigger tire. I'm running 30.5-inch tires. Stock was, you know, like 29.5 or something like that. I'm not going to have any issues. And it's just, you just got to know your vehicle, and you got to know that. And then you don't sweat it. You're like, oh, I've hit ruts like that before all the time, and I never ever bottom out. But when you first get your lift and stuff, and you don't know, you're just kind of still skittish. You don't know for sure what you can take, you know. Blind hill, I advise you to slow down on those. always pay attention to what's happening. You see the trees moving, it's windy, right? Like mental notes. You know, did I check the weather today? Is it going to rain today? Like all these things, you know, situational awareness. You know, as they say in the military, I mean, it's critical with this stuff. You got to know what's going on, know what you're doing. Yeah, there wasn't even grass here when I was here before. In that little mound. So this is the left turn. We're now on the left turn at the end of the trail. We're gonna go down this way. And I've been down this road several times, and I know there's a couple ruts, or there were before. You know, unless somebody's kind of come back and re-shoveled the road, expect the ruts to be worse like every time you go, until eventually there'll be some terrible where maybe somebody fixes them if it's a you know, official road like this. So this is County Road 270 near Helena, Alabama 35080. Close to the Publix, around 35080. A couple miles. And I'm in first gear, I'm not in low. My first gear is really low, it's about 20 to 1. Again, I found that like trails like this, my vehicle kind of yawns, it's bored, this is nothing. I don't even need low range, I don't need my lockers, I've got BLD. I don't have to worry about getting crossed up. You know, you just learn these things over time. And I'm like, I can do this in sand mud mode and maybe lock it in first gear, worst case. If nothing else, just to keep me from going too fast. So it always washes out a little bit more each time you go on a trail. If it's got ruts, you get a couple rainstorms, it'll really start washing them out. Like here's kind of a heck of a rut right here. You know, for ruts like these, you're gonna need, you know, I would say at least 20 degrees approach to drive through them. I think stock this vehicle's 29. Lifted, it's close to 40. So these are no issue at all. Not even close. People don't realize this thing only had 8.7 inches of ground clearance from the factory, but the bumpers are 18 inches off the ground. You know, in the middle of the vehicle was 11.5 inches off the ground before I lifted it. Now it's like 14, and the bumpers are like 20 inches off the ground. So the distance from, you know, the lowest point of my suspension arm to the road is a very small part of the story, which honestly right now is probably like 8.9, right? Because the only thing that can truly lift that higher is a bigger tire, and these tires aren't that much bigger. Maybe another 1/2 inch off the ground, so 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch. Maybe I'm 9-something inches off the ground from my lowest point, but mid vehicle is about 14 inches, and like I said, the front and rear bumpers are 20 plus inches off the ground. If you have a regular Cherokee where the front bumper's straight, that's not going to be the case. You're going to lose, you know, probably 2 or 3 inches at the end of your bumper because you don't have it chamfered like it does on the Cherokee Trailhawk. So even at the same ride height, okay, you know, you lift a Cherokee Active Drive 2 vehicle 3 inches, and you lift the Trailhawk 2, it's going to be different. it's still going to be different, even if they're the same height, because of the bumpers and all that stuff. So this is good. I wanted to go faster, but I'm locked in first gear, and it's kind of reminded me, hey, don't go fast enough to shift into second. I'm about 13 miles per hour right now. So those of you not familiar with the Cherokee trims, basically there's kind of 3 different four-wheel drive versions. There's Active Drive 1, which I believe has four-wheel drive, which is sort of an all-wheel drive system. I don't think it has a low range, but okay, the low is just as good, probably as a Compass Trailhawk. You get to Active Drive 2, you get the low range, you don't have a rear locker, but BLD is pretty darn good. You're basically in Wrangler Sport territory as far as the traction setup, the traction technology. Trailhawk is Active Drive lock. So when my locker's off, I got BLD front and back. I'm a Wrangler Sport, right? Then when I cut on my rear locker, I think that was it right there. That was the little turn off. Yeah, I'll have to drop a pin here, and we'll try that out when I bring my friend. Yeah, we'll catch it when we turn around, and I'll take a photo of that obstacle. There's no potholes here. You don't want to get going too fast because you can't stop that quick and somebody could be coming over the hill. Yeah, this stuff really grew out onto the road. It's crazy. There. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing today?
Good?
What you up to today?
Just driving around?
Just driving?
Yep.
Okay. Better check for something under professional, you know what I mean?
No, I'm definitely not hunting.
Right.
Yep.
Alright, be careful out here.
Alright, thanks. So I guess that means it's not hunting season. Or it is, and they're not supposed to be hunting here. I'm not sure. I didn't know what he was going to tell me. gonna lose your bumper on the ruts over here. You can't go this way. Hey, what's up?
What's the address down there?
What's down there?
The address?
There's no addresses down there. That's like a dirt road that kind of goes next to a hunting ground.
Oh.
And you can, if you went down that road and you turned right, it would basically take you into Helena. But those ruts are gonna take your bumper off. You won't make it.
I think I missed the address I was checking.
Yeah.
960.
Yeah.
Someone here.
Yeah, don't go this way. You won't make it.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate.
All right, thanks. I'm turning around actually. I'm going back. Pretty dusty. It hasn't rained in a while. Oh, it's bumpy. that wasn't the thing off to the side. Yeah, that was the obstacle off to the side. Sweet. Yeah. All the friction and everything, my tires are already up to 34 psi, so they're almost up to the recommended cold pressure. Of course they're not cold, so it's not the same, but these tires would be at 40 psi by now because they've gone up 3 or 4 pounds from driving on this rough stuff, and that's just something to know. So when you air down a little bit, you're not really going to be at that pressure, especially if you're on like a gravel road. It's going to go up. So, and then if you're at stock pressure, it's going to go higher, and it's going to be pretty rough because it's pretty rough right now at 34 pounds. So you could actually probably run like 26, you know, before you start the trail, and you'll probably be at 30 or so by the time the tires warm up, and that wouldn't be too bad. Got a picture of this rut so people can know. Okay. Come around here very carefully. Alright. Have the coordinates of these ruts too because of the geotagging in my camera app, which is amazing for this independent suspension is smoother, I don't want to know what this feels like on a solid axle. You know, granted, you might be on 40s at 15 psi and it wouldn't be so bad, but if you're not, if you're on a stock Wrangler or something, this is going to ride like a skateboard, man. Pretty hot out. Getting pretty hot in here without running the air that high so that we can get good audio. Wham. So this is fun right here. You can see kind of this thing right here by the sign. And believe it or not, we can climb that. No issue. BLD's kicking in. And we're up. You can hear them doing what they do. Cool. They did their job. No locker, no low. We got through it. Did start to, like, you know, really throttle limit me. Like it wasn't going to let me do it.